This was not merely a story of merchants and caravans. This was a story of geopolitics, of survival, of cultural convergence, and of controlling an economy that connected half the world. For centuries, a vast network of routes stretched from the markets of China to the shores of the Mediterranean. We call it the Silk Route, a highway of silk, horses, spices, manuscripts, and ideas. But very few people know that there was a time when the political key to this global network lay in India. Between the 13th and the 16th centuries, the Delhi Sultanate, ruling from its capital in North India, emerged as a unique and a powerful center of Eurasian exchange. When the Delhi Sultanate rose in the early 1200s, the Silk Route was already ancient, older than many empires themselves. Goods moved across deserts, mountains, and plains. But this route was dangerous. Bandits lay in ambush in the shadows, nomadic groups blocked passages, and the rival empires fought over every single mile. Stability was rare and extremely valuable. Then came a seismic force that reshaped the map of Eurasia, the Mongol Empire. Within just a few decades, they took control of almost the entire overland Silk Route. Trade increased, but so did the fear. Any state that wanted Chinese silk, Persian books, or Central Asian horses had only two choices: forge alliances with the Mongols or possesses the strength to confront them. Delhi had neither in the beginning. The Sultanate repeatedly faced Mongol invasions from the northwest. But here lies the paradox. Mongol dominance also stabilized the heart of the Silk Route. As their empire consolidated, the routes became safer. Gradually, Delhi began to connect more deeply with this world through trade, migration, and diplomacy. So, what exactly did Delhi want from the Silk Route? First, horses. The lifeblood of the medieval armies, Indian breeds were strong but slow. Central Asian horses, however, were elite, tall, fast, and ideal for warfare. The Sultanate imported thousands of horses every year. Traders from Bukhara, Samarkand, and Balkh became a common sight in Delhi's markets. Second, people and skills. The Silk Route did not carry only goods, it carried expertise. Persian calligraphers, Central Asian architects, Sufi saints, weavers, and physicians were drawn towards Delhi. They transformed its culture, language, architecture, and spiritual life. Third, luxury goods. Chinese silk and blue porcelain became symbols of elite households. In return, Indian textiles, sugar, indigo, and spices were sent northward and westward along the same routes. The sultans understood one crucial truth: if wealth was the goal, control over these networks was essential. Alauddin Khilji kept a strict watch over markets, fixing prices, building grain warehouses, and regulating trade. These reforms were not merely domestic, they were designed to sustain an army that protected India's Silk Route connections. The Tughlaq dynasty expanded diplomatic ties with Persia and Central Asia. Delhi had now become wealthy, cosmopolitan, and influential. But the Silk Route was not confined to land alone. The Sultanate also thrived on another powerful network, the Maritime Silk Route. While caravans crossed deserts, ships carried goods across the Arabian Sea and the Bay of Bengal. Indian ports such as Khambat, Gujarat, and Bengal emerged as major hubs where Arab sailors and Southeast Asian merchants negotiated deals. Through these sea routes, Indian textiles reached Africa and Southeast Asia, while Chinese ceramics and Arabian horses arrived in India in large quantities. Along with goods, culture was also traveling. Delhi became a fusion zone. Domes, arches, gardens, cuisine, clothing, everything bore the imprint of the Silk Route. Markets like Siri and Jahanpana evolved into spaces where merchants spoke multiple languages. But nothing lasts forever. By the 15th century, Central Asia became unstable once again. Timur's invasions shattered trade networks. Sea routes became cheaper and more reliable, and Delhi itself weakened due to internal rebellions. When the Mughals arrived in the 16th century, they inherited a network that had already shifted southward and towards the seas. They rebuilt it, but in their own imperial style. The Delhi Sultanate never controlled the Silk Route in the way China or Persia did, but it connected India to a global web, political, economic, and cultural, that shaped the subcontinent for centuries. The Silk Route was not merely a road of silk, it was a road of ideas, and Delhi stood at one of its most important crossroads, a gateway through which the world entered India and the India entered the world.